the sound of footsteps echoing in the grand halls, the rustle of elegant gowns sweeping across polished floors. A clock chimes in the distance as the camera glides through the corridors of Downton Abbey. This is more than a house. It is a world filled with love, ambition, secrets, and unforgettable memories. For years, audiences have opened the doors of this estate and stepped into another time. Now, as the story reaches its grand finale, we look back at the moments that mattered. The end of Downton Abbey is not just the end of a television show. It feels like the closing of a beloved book whose characters have become part of our own lives. For over a decade, fans around the world have followed the Crawley family and those who served them, sharing in their joys, heartbreaks, and struggles. Every episode carried us deeper into a time of elegance and change, reminding us of the fragile balance between tradition and progress. The finale is more than a last chapter. It is a tribute to everything that came before it. Downton Abbey has always been about more than the walls of a grand estate. It is a reflection of humanity, the ties that bind families together, and the divisions that shape society. We watched the upstairs and downstairs worlds collide, yet also connect, with loyalty and friendship crossing boundaries of class. It reminded us that no matter where we come from, our hopes and fears are often the same. That message, wrapped in drama and beauty, is why Downton Abbey became a cultural treasure. As the finale approaches, there is a sense of anticipation in the air. What will become of the Crawleys? How will the loyal staff find their future? And how will the house itself, the silent witness to every whispered secret and every celebration, stand as the curtain falls? Each question adds weight to the journey, making the final moments feel even more precious. This conclusion is not just about endings, but about honoring what has already been lived. Fans will remember the laughter echoing during dinner scenes, the tears shed in times of loss, and the quiet power of love that endured despite obstacles. The finale gathers all those emotions and ties them together, not to erase the past, but to make it live forever in memory. More than anything, Downton Abbey reminds us that stories have power. They can bring strangers together across countries and generations. They can teach us about who we are and where we come from. And when a story ends, it is not forgotten. It becomes part of who we are. The grand finale of Downton Abbey is not just an ending. It is a celebration of everything that made this world so unforgettable. In every corner of Downton Abbey, a memory lives. The dining table, long and shining, has heard countless conversations, laughter, and silence heavy with secrets. It was here that the family gathered, where arguments about the future of the estate mixed with tender moments of unity. Each scene felt like an invitation for us to join them at the table, to sit among the Crawleys as witnesses to their lives. For many of the cast, these meals were more than scripted lines. They were moments that felt alive, where the chemistry of the characters mirrored the warmth of a real family. The clink of silverware, the flicker of candlelight, the subtle glances exchanged across the room. These details made every dinner unforgettable. Watching those scenes today is like opening a time capsule, one filled with elegance, wit, and emotion. Beyond the grandeur of the dining hall, there were softer, quieter places that held meaning. The garden paths where love stories blossomed, the library where wisdom and confrontation often met, the servants' quarters filled with loyalty, ambition, and friendship that transcended class lines. Each of these settings became more than backdrops. They became characters in their own right, shaping the stories that unfolded. One favorite memory that shines above many is the sense of unity between upstairs and downstairs. Though separated by rules of society, the Crawley family and their staff built bonds that could not be broken. From Lady Mary's struggles with love to Mr. Carson's devotion to the house, the journeys of these characters touched audiences because they felt real. Every viewer could see a part of themselves in these lives, whether in dreams of ambition, fears of loss, or the strength to endure change. The cast often described Downton Abbey as a second home. They laughed together between takes, shared quiet pride in the attention to detail of the costumes and sets, and felt the weight of responsibility in portraying a story that meant so much to millions. Their reflections are not just about favorite lines or dramatic twists, but about the feeling of belonging to something rare, a project that was more than entertainment. It was a shared piece of history. Looking back, the memories of Downton Abbey remind us that what made it powerful was not only the grand story arcs, but the small, intimate detail. A smile across the room, a secret confession whispered in the dark, a tear shed in silence. These moments became timeless because they echoed truths we all carry: love, loss, and the longing for connection. As the finale brings the curtain down, these memories are what remain. They are the heartbeat of Downton Abbey, the reason why it will continue to live in the hearts of fans long after the last scene fades to black. Behind the polished doors of Downton Abbey, another world existed, one the audience never fully saw. It was not the world of lords and ladies, nor of butlers and maids, but of artists and dreamers who built this universe piece by piece. Every detail we admired on screen, from the delicate embroidery of a gown to the echo of footsteps in the Great Hall, began in the hands of people whose passion turned imagination into reality. The costumes were more than clothes. Each stitch carried history, carefully researched to bring the past alive. When Lady Mary entered a room in silk or lace, it wasn't just elegance we saw. It was a window into another time, a glimpse of the changing role of women in society, the weight of the fabric, the way the colors shifted in candlelight. These choices told stories without words. For the cast, stepping into costume was like stepping into another life, their very posture changing as the corsets tightened and the gloves slid on. The sets themselves were built with equal devotion. Highclere Castle, the soul of Downton Abbey, was not just a backdrop, but a living character. Its walls absorbed every line spoken. Its halls carried the rhythm of the story. Beyond the estate, intricate sets recreated the world of servants' quarters, kitchens, and narrow corridors where ambition and loyalty lived side by side. The smell of polished wood, the clatter of pans, the warmth of firelight, all of it crafted to draw us into a space that felt real and alive. But the true magic came from the people behind the camera, the quiet patience of the crew who moved in near silence, adjusting lights to capture the glow of dawn across the estate. The directors who shaped each scene with care, knowing when to let silence speak louder than words. The makeup artists who transformed actors into characters, brushing time itself onto their faces. They were invisible to the audience, yet their fingerprints were on every frame. Behind the laughter and tears we saw on screen were hours of dedication, rehearsal, and discipline. Yet there was also joy, the kind that comes when people know they are building something special. The cast and crew shared meals together, celebrated birthdays on set, and often paused just to marvel at the beauty of the world they had created. To them, Downton Abbey was more than work. It was a home away from home, filled with creativity and care. When we look back at Downton Abbey now, we remember the drama and romance, but behind it all lies the artistry of those who worked in shadows so the story could shine. Their efforts made Downton not just a series, but an experience, one that transported us to another era, where every scene felt like stepping into history. The finale, then, is not only a farewell to characters we love, but also a tribute to the invisible hands that shaped them. Without the devotion of those behind the scenes, Downton Abbey would not have become the timeless story it is today. Downton Abbey is not only a story that entertained millions, it became a shared experience, a bridge between generations, and a reminder of how storytelling can shape the way we see ourselves. From its very first episode, it drew us into a world that felt far away in time, but close in spirit. The Crawleys and their staff lived in the early decades of the 20th century. Yet their struggles with love, duty, and change reflected challenges we still face today. That is why Downton Abbey is more than a drama. It is a legacy. Its influence stretched far beyond television screens. Families gathered to watch together, passing down the love of the series from parents to children. Fans across countries debated storylines, celebrated weddings, mourned losses, and carried the lives of these characters in their own conversations. Downton Abbey did not just build an audience. It built a community that found comfort and joy in returning to the halls of the estate week after week. The show also reshaped how people viewed period drama. For some, historical stories once felt distant or old-fashioned, but Downton brought them alive with heart, humor, and authenticity. It showed that history is not just events on a timeline, but the lives of people who dreamed, loved, and endured. Through elegant costumes, careful storytelling, and unforgettable characters, it reminded us that the past is never truly gone. It lingers in us, shaping the present in quiet ways. Downton Abbey, an unforgettable journey. The legacy of Downton Abbey can also be felt in the world of television itself. It proved that long-form storytelling could be cinematic, that audiences were hungry for tales rich in detail and emotion. It inspired other creators to take risks, to trust in the power of slow, thoughtful storytelling that respects both its characters and its viewers. In that sense, Downton Abbey changed the way stories are told, setting a standard for beauty, depth, and sincerity. But perhaps its greatest legacy lies in the emotions it left behind. Fans remember where they were when certain moments unfolded: the joy of new beginnings, the heartbreak of sudden loss, the quiet triumph of love against all odds. These moments live on, replayed in memory and conversation, passed down like family stories. Downton Abbey is no longer just a series on a screen. It has become part of the cultural fabric, a name that instantly calls to mind grace, tradition, and the power of storytelling. As the curtain falls, the legacy of Downton Abbey continues to echo, not in the grand halls of Highclere Castle, but in the homes of millions who welcomed it into their lives. Its impact does not end with the finale. Instead, it becomes timeless, a story that will be rediscovered by future generations who will sit down, press play, and once again step into the world of Downton Abbey. Every great story must find its ending, and for Downton Abbey, that ending feels like both a farewell and a celebration. The grand finale is not just a closing chapter, but a carefully woven tapestry of everything that came before. It gathers together the laughter, the heartbreak, the traditions, and the changes, and ties them into a single, unforgettable conclusion. As the screen fades in, we are reminded that endings are never only about closure. They are about meaning. Each storyline that reaches its destination in the finale carries with it the weight of years of history. The Crawley family faces questions of legacy and survival, while the devoted staff below stairs continue to navigate loyalty, dreams, and the courage to step into new futures. The finale gives space for every character we have grown to love, allowing their journeys to end with dignity, warmth, and resonance. The beauty of the finale lies not in shocking twists, but in emotional truth. It honors the essence of Downton Abbey, the delicate balance between change and tradition, duty and desire, family and independence. It feels less like a goodbye and more like a gentle hand guiding us to the end of a path we have walked together. Every scene is filled with echoes of the past, yet each moment pushes the story toward its final horizon. The setting itself seems to know it is time. Highclere Castle, with its towering walls and endless rooms, feels alive, holding the weight of all the secrets, joys, and sorrows it has seen. As the finale unfolds, the estate becomes more than a backdrop. It becomes a witness, almost a character that stands tall, ready to guard these memories even as the story concludes. When we see the sun cast its final light across the stone walls, it feels like the estate itself is saying farewell. What makes this finale truly special is how it understands its audience. It does not simply end the story. It speaks directly to those who have watched from the beginning, offering closure without erasing the magic. It reminds us why we cared, why we cried, why we laughed. It respects our investment, and in doing so, it feels personal, almost like the creators are leaning forward and whispering, "Thank you for being part of this journey." And when the last moments arrive, they do not feel like a loss. They feel like a gift, a reminder that though the series may end, the world of Downton Abbey will always live on in memory. The finale does not close the door completely. Instead, it leaves it slightly ajar, inviting us to return whenever we wish, to rewatch, to remember, and to relive. The grand finale is more than an ending. It is a promise that Downton Abbey, in all its beauty and humanity, will never truly fade. It will continue to echo in the hearts of its fans, not as a story that ended, but as one that lives forever. Goodbyes are never simple. They carry the weight of every moment shared, every bond formed, every story lived. Saying farewell to Downton Abbey feels like closing the door to a home we have visited for years, one that welcomed us with open arms and reminded us of the power of storytelling. Yet even in parting, there is beauty, because endings are proof that something meaningful has taken place. The characters we came to love are no longer just names in a script. They have become companions. Lady Mary with her strength and quiet vulnerability, Mr. Carson with his unwavering devotion, Anna and Bates, whose love endured trials and storms. The Crawleys and their staff have lived in our imaginations as if they were neighbors, people whose joys and sorrows became part of our own. To say goodbye to them is to acknowledge how deeply they touched us and how real they became in our hearts. But farewells do not mean forgetting. Instead, they transform the present into memory, and memory is powerful. We will remember the sweeping shots of the estate at sunrise, the hushed tones of whispered secrets, the sound of laughter spilling from the dining table. These moments stay with us because they reflect life itself. Fragile, beautiful, fleeting. The closing of Downton Abbey reminds us of something universal. That time moves forward, that families grow and change, that traditions fade even as new ones rise. In the end, Downton was never only about an aristocratic family or the servants who supported them. It was about all of us, about the ties that hold us together, the choices that define us, and the resilience that carries us through. As the final curtain falls, we are left not with emptiness, but with gratitude. Gratitude for the artists who brought this world to life. Gratitude for the stories that reminded us of our own humanity. Gratitude for the community of fans who came together to share in this journey. The ending may bring a hush, but within that silence lives the echo of something extraordinary. And so, as Downton Abbey bids farewell, it leaves behind more than just memories. It leaves behind a reminder that every ending is also a beginning. That stories never truly die when they are carried in the hearts of those who love them. The grand halls may fall silent, the lights may dim, but the spirit of Downton Abbey will continue to live on, timeless and eternal. The final scene fades, the music swells, and the story of Downton Abbey finds its rest. Yet even as the screen goes dark, the world it created remains alight in our memories. For every viewer, the journey does not end here. It continues in the way we recall our favorite scenes, in the quotes we carry with us, in the emotions we feel when we remember the people of Downton. A story may close its pages, but it does not leave us. It lingers, like the echo of a song long after the last note is played. Downton Abbey will forever be remembered as more than a series. It is a legacy of elegance and emotion, of tradition and change, of love that endured against the odds. It gave us laughter in times of light and comfort in times of darkness. It reminded us that life, no matter the setting, is made of the same fragile pieces: love, loss, hope, and resilience. And in that truth, Downton became universal. As we step away from the estate for the last time, we carry with us a gift: the reminder that stories connect us across time and place. They give us a window into history while reflecting the struggles and triumphs of our own lives. Downton Abbey was not just about the past. It was about what it means to be human. That is why it will remain timeless. The final farewell is not only for the Crawleys and their loyal staff, but for us, the audience. For years we entered this world together, and now we leave it together, our hearts fuller for having been part of it. The closing doors of Downton do not mark an end, but an invitation to remember, to revisit, and to keep the spirit alive in our own stories. And so, as the music fades and the grand house stands tall against the horizon, one truth remains: Downton Abbey is not gone. It lives on, in memory, in legacy, and in the hearts of everyone who ever walked its halls. even if only in imagination. A final bow, a final whisper, and a promise that the world of Downton will remain, timeless and eternal.